yourself. You may be small to your oppressors, but you're bigger in your self-respect as a human being, because as a human being, nobody is better than you are.
Hello, my brothers of the Eta Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Hello to all of our guests. I am Reverend Brother Dr. Kenneth Augustus Walker, the chaplain for the Eta Lambda Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. This will be my last recording after 4 years as a chaplain. And what a great way for me to go out. That voice you heard was the voice of my favorite civil rights leader and my favorite Alpha brother of all time, the one and only Reverend Brother Dr. Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr. from Harlem, New York. We're concluding this series on social justice preachers. God led me to give this series to my chaplains team, and I want to thank Chaplain Greg Bailey, Chaplain David Carlton David Johnson, who will succeed me as chaplain in the next election for chapter chaplain. They started off with Reverend Woodson, and of course, Reverend Brother Dr. Frederick Haynes III out of Dallas, Texas at the Friendship West Church. And I get to conclude this series with my favorite Alpha brother of all time, Congressman Adam Clayton Powell. History has not put Adam in the proper place. And I tried to correct this in my doctoral dissertation, Integrated Liberation Paths, a look at Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Adam Clayton Powell. I argued in my dissertation that America embraced King because he was nonviolent and he was the safest choice. They rejected Malcolm X because pre-Hodge Malcolm X was too radical for the Caucasian American society at that time. And Adam was too fly, fast, and furious for them to embrace. But Adam Clayton Powell, as I argued in my dissertation, we would not have ever, the marching of Malcolm X, the marching of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have stopped at marching unless you had someone in Congress to put legislation and give legs to the marching, which is Adam did. And we'll talk about that later. Who was Adam Clayton Powell? Born in 1908 in New Haven, Connecticut, to Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Sr. and his wife. Adam was brilliant, he was intellectual, he was flashy, he was fast, he was furious, and he was formidable all of his life until he took his last breath dying from prostate cancer. Adam was educated at Colgate University and later at Columbia University. He was the first black from Harlem ever elected to the New York City Council in 1941. If you've ever flown into LaGuardia Airport, the mayor was LaGuardia himself. Adam was powerful on the city council, but 3 years later, he ran for United States Congress in 1944 and became the first black ever elected from the northern United States of America to the United States Congress. Adam Clayton Powell, first black from Harlem elected to the New York City Council, and then the first black congressman from the Northeast to ever be elected to the United States House of Representatives in the year of 1944. Adam served with two great presidents. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy from Boston absolutely adored Adam, leaned on Adam. It was Adam who got into the ear of President Kennedy long before Dr. Martin Luther King, Brother Martin Luther King, our Alpha brother, to talk about why civil rights was important. But unfortunately, President Kennedy was murdered, assassinated in Dallas, and could not continue that work. So guess who Adam aligned himself with? Lyndon Baines Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson wanted to recreate a new America, a different America. He knew that segregation was evil. He knew that segregation was wrong. He knew that segregation was horrendous and horrific. He knew that segregation was on its last legs and that the table needed to collapse. Guess who he partnered with? Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And President Johnson's Great Society, which is landmark social legislation, he put it in the lap of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Powell was so powerful as a secretary of the Health and Labor Committee. He was so powerful that he passed 66 pieces of legislation without defeat. Let that sink in. 66 pieces of legislation, and he was the only black chairman in Congress at that time. 66-0. No House member before Adam or since Adam has ever beaten that record. 66 pieces of legislation. Adam was so powerful that he came up with what's known as the Powell Amendment, that any piece of legislation that funded something that supported segregation, it could not pass. That bill was dead on arrival. He made sure that the Powell Amendment put funding where there used to be discrimination. Now I'm going to read you some stuff from, I want to read that out. He introduced what became known as the Powell Amendments, refusing federal funds to any program that practiced racial discrimination. He forced America to choose either equality or no money. Now that's power from a black man. That's power. Adam succeeded his father. Let me back up a little bit because I get excited when I talk about Adam Clayton Powell. He succeeded his father at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. Abyssinian was the largest church, black or white, in America at that time. Over 10,000 members. Adam was famous on Sundays for wearing the medallion around his neck given to him by Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia. And that voice you heard, that recording, is from his most famous recording entitled Keep the Faith, Baby. This is the album. This is Adam on his boat down in Bimini. He used to hang at he called the End of the World bar. And I've been there. It's closed. You can stand outside. But his son, my good friend, Adam IV, signed his father's album for me. So Adam in Congress introduced the Powell Amendment, which was very, very important. As chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee, he passed all of the key components of President Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society. Let me read some of those. He increased the minimum wage, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He increased federal education funding, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He introduced and passed anti-poverty initiatives, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Early version of programs that impacted health care and social justice, passed by who? Adam Clayton Powell Jr. You see, President Lyndon Baines Johnson had to have someone to introduce and then had it to the House on the floor and then get it through committee. Who did it? Adam Clayton Powell. Adam spoke boldly, he spoke loudly, and he governed boldly. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. integrated the House barbershop. Blacks were not allowed in the barbershop. Adam went in for a haircut and opened it up to other blacks to go in to get their haircut when they came to Congress. Adam was the man. All of the marching of King, all of the marching of Malcolm X would not have legs unless you had Adam legislate. That's why I call it integration liberation pass. All the credit should not go to King. All the credit should not go to Malcolm. All the credit should not go to Adam. I call it you need the integration of all three men to get the work done. It was Adam Clayton Powell who pushed through the Voting Rights Act. It was Adam Clayton Powell who pushed through the Civil Rights Act. That's Adam's work, baby. That's Adam Clayton Powell Jr.'s work. The work that Kennedy started, but assassination did not allow him to finish. Adam did it working in tandem with President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Adam was amazing. Adam was undefeated in House legislation. They had to respect Adam. They worked overtime to destroy him. They worked overtime to get him out of Congress, and he fought the powers that be. They stripped him of his chairmanship. And guess what? He went to the Supreme Court and won his seat back. They put him out of Congress. He won it back. The failure of the Supreme Court was not to restore his chairmanship. So Adam leaves Congress eventually, dies in 1972. But his legacy, it still breathes. Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard runs through Harlem, New York. Adam Clayton Powell Federal Building sits in New York City. So we need to appreciate this great alpha man, this great civil rights leader, this great icon. King could never revel in the passing of the Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act without Adam Clayton Powell pushing that legislation through. Adam was different. He was built different. He lived different. He preached different. He spoke different. My favorite sermon by Adam as a preacher, he doesn't get enough credit for preaching. My favorite sermon was Living Under a Cloud. He talked about the children of Israel and their terrible, treacherous trek through the Red Sea, through the wilderness. He said as they went through the wilderness, God covered them with the cloud, nothing but a cloud. A pillar of fire by night and light by day. Adam said that cloud represented God's power, God's presence, and God's protection. He was a heck of a preacher. I almost said the other word. A preacher, a congressman, a statesman, a civil rights icon. I don't have enough time to talk about Adam. This is the longest presentation I've ever given, 13 minutes. But I challenge you to read more about him. The very first big book that came out on him when I was leaving seminary, Adam Clayton Powell, a political, here it is, I'm gonna get up here, Adam Clayton Powell by Charles Hamilton, The Political Biography of an American Dilemma. And the reason I wore a gray suit tonight, because Adam's wearing a great suit here. Also, I can't think of the guy's name, and I know him. He used to write for the Boston Globe, Will Haygood. He wrote a great book, King of the Cats. Adam Clayton Powell, King of the Cats. Also, this is by Curtis Alexander, Adam Clayton Powell, Black Political Educator. I use all these on my dissertation. This is Adam as he ages, very stately. This is my favorite book here by Adam himself, Marching Blacks. This is a black manifesto. It is still relevant today. Many times when I've spoken around the country for Black History Month, I use this book. Another great book is his own autobiography, and it's forwarded by Adam Clayton Powell III, Adam by Adam, the autobiography of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And this one is my absolute favorite one. This is a collection of his sermons, and it's entitled Adam Clayton Powell, Keep the Faith Baby, a side of the controversial Congress and never before revealed in print, his sermons on the Word of God and the broken words of men, the broken words of men. So I hope you will further read about him and study about him. I'm working on a new book, which I'm not at liberty to talk about tonight, but Adam will be a part of that book based on where we're living today and what we're doing. So I'm going to encourage you, as my tenure as chaplain comes to an end, in the midst of this terrible, toxic, Trumptonian time in which we live, keep the faith, baby. In the midst of them trying to steal our vote, keep the faith, baby. In the midst of them trying to rig elections, keep the faith, baby. In the midst of them trying to kill our health care and our education and our rights, keep the faith, baby. In the midst of political poisonous polarization, keep the faith, baby. I thank you, Eta Lambda, for allowing me to serve as chaplain for these 4 years. It's been the best ride of my life in this great fraternity. And what better way for me to conclude my last recording than talking about my hero, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. God bless you, Eta Lambda. All the best to my good brother and successor. And I hope the chaplain supports him. And I know the chaplain's team will. The one and only Reverend Brother Carlton David Johnson.